after we have done these openings, which is very important, then you bring your trouser panels and then you place the openings like where it was meant to be, right, this way. So hold it firmly there, point, and then start stitching. Then start stitching down. Just stitch from here. Make sure that that same point you marked is where the rope, the opening of the rope will be. Please, very important, so that you don't misplace it. Then stitch the band all through. So this is the point where most of you will be interested in, I know, but then please watch the very end so that you will see how I will insert the rope and elastic on this trouser, which is one of the best parts of this illustration. So stitch all down this way, stitch all down this way, and then you cut your threads, cut your threads, cut your threads. So this is what you have done, or what we have done. Then the rope will now pass through here. You get so I will do the same thing on the other side. So you will gently do it as well. I will leave the video on so you see how it's done. So hold it together just that way, and then you thread. You thread. Make sure it's held together, and then you thread just like that. So you stitch it all through to this very point. Sew it all through. So you gently make sure you thread this to this point. So the reason I am leaving these things for us to see is that most of us will not have issues again after this video. So this video will be one of the best videos you will see on the internet on how to thread, how to stitch this palazzo trouser with back elastic, front rope, and zip, right? It's like 3 in 1. So all of these things are very essential. You cut your thread. So once you have cut your threads at this point, so this is how it will look like. Now you will just cut out the excesses here at the side. Just cut it out at the side this way. Cut it out all through this way. So now you cut out the other one as well. You cut out the other one as well. Cut it out from here. So this is what it is. Then we are still going to finish here properly, but first of all, join the back panel now. So if you remember, the back panel was raised by 4 inches, right? So this is the 4 inches that we are looking for, like, you know, because we are still going to, you know, do everything. So this is the 4 inches that was raised for the back panel. So here you bring the corresponding components. Now make sure that you match it properly. So once you have gotten to this stage, then open up the band all along. So this is where that 4 inches at the back panel will be used for now. You get so now match the sides properly all through to the hem, and then you gently stitch. So this is part of the band like you have seen now. So now you don't need to put the darts at the back. You can still put that if you want, but it's not necessary, right? It's not necessary. It can still be skipped, the darts. But if you want to achieve it, you can still put that. So since we are not doing wet pocket or patch pocket, so just leave it that way. Then here you stitch it down just this way. Sew it down all through this way. So sew it down all through this way. Sew it down all through this way. Then when you get to the pocket edge, you double stitch. Then you drag the leg the hem, the base, right? Drag the leg. Make sure that the both legs are equal, please. The both legs must be equal. None should be longer than anyone. And here, you stitch carefully. And make sure you're not stitching on top of the pocketing, like your front pocket. So shift it and then handle it properly. So here, you hold it this way and then you sew it all through to this very point. So sew it down all through, stitch all through this way. So make sure that the both legs are equal. Stitch all through this way. So once you are at this point, at this stage, you're almost done. So I will also join the second one. I will now show you what to do on the next stage of the sewing. So after you have joined it this way, then watch how this rope point is being placed. Then you bring your bias and then bias the back panel. Even if you have weaved, you still need to bias it. This helps to make the back panel, the back finishing neater and better. So you bias all along this area. You bias all through. So biasing is not a hard deal now, right? I believe most of us can do this. So just place it and then fold and bias. So that's the reason for this bias is just to add beauty to the finishing of the outfit at the inside. Cut your threads. This is what it is. Then you also bias again. So after you have biased the both panels, then you have to go and iron the back piece to take the line of the back of the front band. These lines must be ironed to appear on the back panel this way. So I will go and iron them, and then this is a double fold to make sure that the line that appeared on the front panel will now be visible at the back panel all through. So this is what we have. Then after you have done the ironing, it's now time for us to start fixing the elastic and the rope, which is one of the most important parts of this tutorial, right? So this is the ironing. This is how yours should also look like. Then I will now show you how to do all of this. Then bring the two back panels and lock. Now this locking, you don't need to apply any measurement or whatsoever. Just use half an inch to lock all through. Then bear in mind, you can still decide, to apply the waist measurement if you so wish. That's if you don't want the elastic to be much. But here I am applying with half an inch in order to give elastic more room to contract the back region of the waist of the trouser, right? So stitch all along this way. Just stitch all along this way. Stitch all along this way and hold the crotch points perfectly well. Stitch all through this way. So when you have achieved to or gotten to this point, then make sure that the panels are corresponding. I am just using half an inch to lock the waist points all through to the crotch. Then after this, you cut out your threads as always, and then we are going to now this is how, look at the finishing. This is a beautiful effect it's giving on the trouser at the inside. Then here you now get your elastic and start to measure your elastic. So the first thing you will do is to note that you are meant to use half of the back part. So in most cases, if you measure half of the back part, and if it's not enough, just like this, if you measure it this way and cut the elastic, right? And if you stretch it and see that the elastic is not enough, like it did not stretch the much to cover all the waist points, you can now increase. So this elastic has gotten or reached its maximum elasticity. So you make sure that the elastic will not be too strong. Do you get? It should just be fluffy there. So here you push like 2 inches off and then measure this way and cut. So that 2 inches off you pushed out will be enough or ideal. Then this is very much okay. The stretchiness, I love the effect it's already given on the trouser. So here you make sure you stitch it from the side joining, then open it up this way. Then you are meant to stitch both the rope and the elastic together to avoid double stitching effects on the front piece of the outfit. So make sure as from the side joining, right? That is the point you stitch from. So you are meant to stitch it together, but I will just stitch this just to show you what I mean in it first. Then on the second one, I will now show you how to join the rope and elastic together. I know at this point is where most people are craving for or wishing to get to understand or learn. So just watch what I'm doing. Place it at that same point where the front band is, not at the upside, please. At the point where the front band is. As you can see where I am touching or I signaled you. And then you stitch from the side joining. Just stitch it down. Make sure you stitch like 3 to 4 times, to hold the elastic together. I will still put the rope. Don't worry, I'll still put the rope. I'm just trying to show you what I mean by the point you're going to stitch from. So here you cut off your threads, So as you can see where I made my sewing from on the side joining, then drag the elastic to get to the other end. It will get to the other end, this other side. Open up that side joining, right? Very important. Open it up and then you stitch. But here, let us fix the rope at once. So here is my beautiful rope I brought. I later changed the rope to this color, a contrasting color, in order to have the rope to be fanciful. I will still reduce the length from the outside. So here you tuck it in from this hole, tuck it in from that hole you created, right? Carefully tuck it in from that hole you created. Don't make the hole to be too big. Make it to be exact of the size of the rope so that it doesn't get too wide. Then tuck the other one in as well. Tuck it in as well. And this is how it looks like. Then take the ending and place at that same point where the elastic was sewn from on top this way. So just stitch it down. So I think you have understood where you are going to sew from now, right? So just sew it down all through this way. Sew it down from there. So carefully, make sure that your stitching is neat enough at the outside. It shouldn't be too rough or not relaxed. So stitch it down all through that way. Do the same thing on the other side as well. Sew it down all through that way as well. Cut your threads. Make sure you cut to the roots from the root of the thread. Don't just cut on top. Cut very well so that you don't have any excesses of thread left all over your trouser bodies. So once you have gotten to this stage, now you drag the other end. Now this one I am putting it together with the elastic together. I have explained what I meant from the other side of the elastic. Open it up that way and then place it at the midpoint where you have the band point joining and place the rope on top just this way, and after which you stitch again. So here I think this is a major area which most of us need to understand or need to learn. So the rest of the tutorial can be watched, observed, and you learn from it. You get. So this is the major area where most of us are always having issues with. So some people have been asking me how can they fix elastic and rope on trouser. So once you're through with this, you now go ahead and lock the front waistline of your band and then start closing the band properly, making sure that you tuck in the elastic and rope properly while you lock the band on its own. And after which you now top stitch at the back panel only. So you will also see it in this procedure, which I am going to show you as well. So this is the elastic. Look at the elastic effect is already visible. So if you feel the elastic is too much, you can reduce it from one edge. You can decide to reduce it from one edge. It will help to make it to be more effective. Then fold the band edge properly this way and carefully close the mouth of the band. So you need to do this effectively, carefully. Better still, you can put a notch here first. Put a notch at this point before you start closing the band. That notch you are putting now will help you to know where the center of the band is. So after which, you stitch from the flap point. You sew from the flap point, just like this. Sew from the flap point, and then carefully arrange this. Sew from the flap point, and then lock it all through that way. Gently arrange this. This is very, very important. So once you hold it firmly, then you lock, then cut off the excesses, and then you have your front band closed. So I will allow you to watch the rest of the tutorial where you observe what I am doing.
I grab my sketch and make the line. Patterns flow like vintage wine. Dress in colors bold, refined. With fashioned art I'm intertwined. From the canvas to the screen, styling dreams like you've never seen. Textures blend in harmony, creating fashion symphony. Hey there folks, don't be shy. Hit that like, subscribe, apply. Comment down if you feel fly. Mr. Redefined is standing by. Outfits popping in daylight, mixing shades to feel just right. Drawing styles that take their flight. Fashion spark ignites the night. Threads of inspiration spin. Come on in, let's just begin. Every clip a world within. Join the flare under my skin. Creation flowing like a stream. Fashion bold and never mean. Unveil magic from our dream.
to lock the crotch point, so you hold the crotch region. The crotch region must be held together. You can pin it, then start from the hem this way. Just place it half an inch is what you will use to lock, right? So if you now want to create an opening or a slit, this is the time you do it. So if you want to have a slit at the side, you measure 2 inches off for the folding, and then measure the slit length 4, 5 inches, 6 inches, depends on how long you want the slit to be from the outside. If you want the slit to be outside, do it here. Or the slits can rarely be at the midpoint here. If you still want the slit to be at the middle of the trouser, you now use facing and make a slit opening from the front and then turn inside. You get, but this one does not have any slit or whatsoever. Then you stitch, and then hold firmly. Use half an inch, so the crotch point must be held together, and then stretch it all out, and then start sewing. So please, this is how you must make sure you lock your trouser. The locking is very, very important, that you be cautious of the measurements that you are holding. So this is how it looks like. This is how it looks like. So you hold it all through this way. Cut your threads. Cut your threads. Cut your threads this way. You stitch it all down. So be mindful of the length. Please, the legs must be equal. On no account should one be longer. It contributes to damaging or spoiling the fitting. So you will make sure you thread all through to the very end. And this is what it is. So now, once you have sewn to this very point, now the next you will do now is to go and iron, open press, you iron properly. So I have shown us in previous videos on how to iron the trouser. So I will do the ironing and come back to show you the finishing and the fitting on me. Then you now know what we have achieved so far. Stay tuned. Here we have iron, then we have folded the allowance for the hem. So here you thread it. Now the reason I am threading is because I don't really want the leg area to be heavy. So I'm just threading. I will stitch, right, as against hemming. But if you still want to hem, you can still hem on it. Then you thread all through this way. So gently thread. Make sure that everything is aligning. Very important. Start threading, you will also go and iron again where you have sewn from, right? So the folding here can be 1.5 inch or 1/3 of an inch. So you cut off the threads. You cut off your threads as well. Cut off every part of it. So after which you still go and iron out this sewn area. So make sure that what you have sewn here, 1/3, is going to be exact of what you sew on the second leg. 1/3 as well, so that the both lines will correspond. So now you have finished sewing. Now I will fit it and also show you how to do this as well. So this is the fitting of what we have at the end of the day. You see how perfect it is. So this can go with any stripe shirt. I have a vintage shirt I've made also to go with this, right? I have a vintage shirt I've made to go with this. So the fitting of this trouser is perfect. Now you see that it's how free it is. It flows, right? Then you can decide to put a slit at the side if you want, but then that's for your own choice. So this is the result of what we have. Look at the back waist elastic. Look at it. So even if I add tomorrow, it will still be enough to accommodate my increment in size. So if you love what you're seeing, don't forget to like this video, watch to the very end, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye for now.